We're glad to have you back now as the COVID-19 pandemic begins to take another dimension with the emergence of the Omicron variant. Countries around the world have continued to take divergent measures to contain the spread of the virus. Aimed at protecting their public health, of course. Since the Omicron variant was first reported in South Africa, the virus has now been detected in 38 countries, although no deaths have been reported in any of these nations. But the US and Australia have become the latest countries to confirm locally transmitted as opposed to imported cases of the variant. As a result of Omicron, the United Kingdom on Monday the 6th of December imposed a travel restriction on citizens of Nigeria following an increase in the number of cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 across the world. It will be recalled that last week, Singapore and Canada slammed travel bans on Nigeria following the discovery of the new strain of this virus. Well, let's look at what this means for us. Of course, trade relations between both countries, it's very important that we analyze this. Joining me virtually from the United Kingdom is the startup founder of Wealth Hackers, Mr. Olugbenga Onifade. Mr. Onifade, good afternoon, and it's good to see you.
Good afternoon. Hi.
Yes. First, Nigeria is UK's 46th largest trading partner. A lot of trade relations between these two countries. First, when you heard this, how did it come to you? Let me start that way, naturally. How did it come to you when this restriction thing came up again?
I was met with trepidation, and I found it quite unfair, to be honest, like any other person, really, because I was quite disappointed when the travel ban was affected, considering the fact that I think Nigeria is actually the third when in terms we had other countries who had more Omicron or COVID cases, compared coming to the UK. Even though a few things the UK were talking about were people or the countries that have the travel links with the United Kingdom are the countries that are being placed on the list. But you've got to think about it. Italy and Spain, they have considerably way more cases than Nigeria. So I quite find it disappointed that UK is actually taking that step, unfortunately.
It's a very good way to start. Let's now look at what this means for businesses. I see today members of the organized private sector saying the little gains we've achieved building back the GDP, business transactions improving, we might just lose all of this in a matter of months. What effect do you see this having on business dealings, trade relations?
Well, I think it destroys a lot of confidence. The minute this travel ban was affected, starting the 4th of December, the 6th of December at 4 a.m., which is a Sunday, 2 days ago, the British Airways boss, he put out a statement, and he said it was a devastating blow. And likewise, the United Kingdom's General Airports Authority as a whole, the Pilots Authority, they said it destroys the confidence in the travel system, in what they have been building. But also, you've got to understand, yesterday, the market made a statement because the minute the Omicron variant was discovered by the South African GP of 33 years experience, Dr. Angelique Kotze, who said, it wasn't actually as bad, really. But the market responded effectively. And yesterday, what we noticed was, because initially the market just rebounded, it was another fear, another scare, similar to 2020. But yesterday, the travel systems and the airport systems on the stock market, they all went haywire. And that actually just shows that there's a lot of confidence and there's not as much fear. So the fears faded in terms of the stock market. You've got to understand the stock market tends to predict more what the economy will be like anyway. So the Omicron fear that we've had, or that we've thought, it's not really as scary, even though we think, or the health authorities think, it is transmissible, and everyone is actually on the edge, and they're having this reflex preemptive scare. But the market is not as scary. But if you think about the scares that we are putting, the real restrictions we are putting in the market, you've got to understand businesses, they want the momentum of interaction to keep flowing. Aviva, one of the UK insurance companies here, the BT company, I'm talking mega billion-pound organizations. They've instituted a daily test in their companies. If you want to stay from home, work from home, way before the Omicron. So things have been affected to ensure work relations is being conducted freely. But with this one coming from the government, I think it puts a blow into things a little bit more.
And even coming at this season, festive season, where many want to travel, to meet with family members, to do business and all of that. Already you've touched on the effect, partly on the aviation sector, because that is going to be felt seriously, because there will be drop in flights and all of that. Let's also look at manufacturing, because many of raw materials are brought in from abroad, from the UK and the likes. What do you see? What do you see? What impact do you see this having on the entire industry, manufacturing now in focus?
I think with manufacturing, there will be a stem or flow of influx of resources as a result of that. Resources, which is one of the things UK lack, and of course the supply chain. Naturally, this whole year, one of the key things that the economy has been dealing with are, number one, is inflation as a result of effective COVID we've been dealing or battling since 2019, and number two is supply chain. Now, supply chain is very key to manufacturing. So now with this new effect that we're putting on, then of course you're going to expect manufacturing to hit new term lows in the economy, and without manufacturing you can't really drive economy, because you need to drive something. Even though UK is mostly a service-based sector, but at the same time people still going on about buying new things. So the manufacturing is going to be really affected. There will be a disruption. So you mentioned the family reunions. There's going to be disruption to commerce. Generally, there will be a disruption to goods and services as a result. So there will be, there's no how you can coin it, even though people are just coming about with sound bites. And more people are actually thinking this is more about politics now. I remember the communications minister, Lai Mohammed, he called it a travel apartheid, and many people thought, oh, okay, this travel apartheid is it's quite discriminatory, based on free rights of people to move about. But unfortunately, like we said again, there will be, there's going to be an effect on, manufacturing is at an all-time low right now because it relies on people. Things are not as automated. And in the sense of Nigeria, bulk of the businesses we do, they come from, physical. It's actually very physical. You need people. It's not, things are not as automated. And regardless of how automation it is, we still need that supply chain. You need the key bridge in between those two people, those two places. So yes, things will be disrupted effectively. The only problem is now we're expecting this Omicron, by data, of course, that it might hit new highs by end of January. It's going to get to the peak before things start stemming down a little bit again. But we're thinking, so the way it works with manufacturing is that things are going to get deferred, and then there will be an influx next year, unfortunately. But right now we're going to have to deal with the effect. Well, we've got to be grateful at the same time, because it's the festive season, or the Yuletide season, like they say. So it's actually the right time to put it in. It shouldn't really be. There's no right time to put a restriction on people's movements, unfortunately. However, there's not a lot we can do right now. We're just going to have to count the cost. But unfortunately, I think Nigeria is going to feel it more, because we rely more on the partnership than the UK.
Exactly. We rely more. I wanted to ask you, what was the recovery like even before now? Because we know even Nigeria, we're just recovering, at least a little bit of growth we witnessed. But what's it been like with the UK economy? Talking about recovery too. We see figures also coming out not too very impressive. Take us through what's been happening with regards to recovery in the United Kingdom.
Oh, UK has been struggling. UK has been struggling. I can tell you that for sure. UK has been struggling. I think the inflation and the PCI index was hitting all-time lows actually. And of course, this government's actually giving. The government's been thinking there's only so much we can give out in terms of bailout, and then at some point people have been thinking, okay, maybe this Omicron is what we can do. We can live with. We're talking about the community, the herd immunity, whereby you know what, we're just going to live with it. One more thing, though. So, speaking of the recovery has been bad economy-wise. People are just gradually getting back to work, and of course, people are getting used to staying from home. So you get people now changing their terms. They want to, deciding to work from home. And one of the things UK has actually been doing is, encouraging more people, the influx of workers. Because right now, of course, again, so we've got the Brexit of 6 years ago with the COVID. So we have to deal with that side of things in the UK. So again, like I said, the PCI index was really bad. The look at the stock market. It's literally the COVID variants or the pharmaceuticals that are doing very well right now. Things that still haven't really picked up. But in terms of transparency, though, I think speaking of Nigeria, for example, Nigeria's only had 3 cases of these Omicron cases, even though UK said it detected 21 people, so 21 cases, but Nigeria's only had 3. World Health Organization has said there's no death discovered so far around the globe as a result of Omicron. So we think we're having a knee-jerk reaction, but economy-wise, we're not doing very well. Things are just gearing up, and I think we're quite similar. We're not exactly as bad as 2008 lows, but we're quite fair, nearly there. But worse than 2010 crash.
I'm also thinking that will this affect some of our trade deals that we've had before now, when we have restrictions like this one on one side, and also on this side, Nigerians are worried that portfolio investors will just take their monies and leave our country. So this will really be negative, even for both sides. What do you think?
It will affect the UK, it would affect Nigeria. We have we do have a lot of Nigerians, investors in the UK with portfolios. We do have a lot of Nigerians investors in Nigeria, even though, people tend to shut to both sides. It's a little bit of a, how do I call it? Chicken and egg, really. You can't, you cannot leave one without the other. People have got to just learn to live with it. So when you have your portfolio of investment, how do you protect these things? You got to have, in a way, you create new kind of jobs for people to manage your portfolio for you, and at the same time, so like I said, it's a bit of a chicken and egg. I don't think I have an answer to that, to be honest. You probably just get people to help you, with your portfolio to manage it, or you know what, you probably just have to abandon if you don't have that trust. But again, regardless, what happens is that policies predicts what the economy will do, and regardless of what you do to your portfolio, number one, you cannot leave it unmonitored. Number two, this, even when it's been actively managed, these policies will constantly keep to track of your portfolio. So what's the best way to do? Well, I mean, the best way is you just have to get more people involved managing your portfolio, managing your assets. Really, you cannot leave it unmanaged, because an unmanaged asset is going to be a failing asset, unfortunately. But I think right now for people, I don't think, even though, like people say, you got to buy when there's fear on the street. So right now it's probably when things are cheap. So people with money, you've got to go out there and look at this, these fear portfolios and fear assets rather, and you probably just be able to get them on the cheap instead. So I'd probably say this is probably the time to actually add to your portfolio, go shopping, use it as an opportunity, as an advantage, and go shopping.
Well, wrapping up now, no matter how bad it looks, let's do make some assumptions and projections as we move on. We are wrapping up 2021 in a matter of weeks and moving to 2022. Despite all of these odds, what are your projections for the entire market and, of course, the UK economy? What are you projecting?
So the market 2021 has been relatively poor. The UK general market has been relatively poor, with growth industries not doing very well, the real estate's not doing very well. Some aspects of real estate are doing okay, which is the residential doing okay, the commercial not doing great because not many people are working. In fact, it's quite funny because of supply chain. Just trying to go back to your point, a few weeks ago, they couldn't, because of supply chain. Second-hand cars hit all-time high in terms of prices. So there was a time people were buying second-hand cars. They were selling it to buy new cars on the cheap, because new cars aren't that many, and second-hand cars are flooding the market. They're struggling with delivering new cars. So I think the real recovery will be 2022 if we don't get new variants again, of course, because we had one last year. But something, I think at some point people will, and with a raw outflow of anger out there and emotions, I believe I don't see new restrictions now next year. There's what's called vaccination. I think the UK is talking about 500,000 almost every day. Withdrawing the army to help out. So I believe we will see the real recovery next year. The growth indexes have been really, really very poor. If you've invested in a growth sector right now, since March to up till 2020. December 2020, you will be averaging maybe 2-3%, if at all, anything at all. So, and with people rather, trusting the digital economy to put their money, and sometimes cash right now seems to be safer. But I think 2022 will be when the real recovery will be expected. There's been more jobs out there now than people. Not many people are still going out there because of the fear of, this disease or the virus. So I believe next year will be the real recovery. We will experience real growth. UK has been tanking all-time low this year, and the world and across the world as well. So I believe next year, once this travel restriction is lifted, I don't see it's taking too long. The leisure industry has been struggling. The whole couple of days now, we've seen the leisure industry and the hospitality, they've been really booming. So I believe, and everyone's been dying to get on holidays. I've seen many people cancel their plans, myself inclusive, actually, to go on holidays. So next year, I will be looking at travel industry really, really booming, taking the heels. I mean, they will drive the recovery. I see that. I see, new economy as well. And of course, because of this virus now, I think there'll be more concern on health. So I believe health recovery will take over, even in transportation as well. And people will be more focused on cleaner energies because people are more scary and more aware of, touching things and, clean environment. Again, I believe anything digitized will move. And that's what I see the way the world will be next year. But again, real growth will be experienced next year. I don't think this year will end on a high, but we will start experiencing the growth trickling in from January.
Very, very optimistic one there. Very interesting. Wrapping up, I'm also interested talking about the aviation, the tourism sector, hospitality, hotels, and all of that. We know what they went through when that lockdown was instituted. We hope that won't happen now. Maybe we'll just have restrictions and everybody has to step out the rules, follow the protocols, and make sure that things get better. Mr. Olugbenga Onifade is startup founder, the Wealth Hackers. Is based in Kent, United Kingdom. Thank you very much for your time on the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.